good afternoon everybody. Buon pomeriggio a tutti. It's a great pleasure to continue our Smart Talk journey, hosting this month the Dr. Georgios Georgiadis, who represents a board member of Tech Island and founder and managing director of Excelix. The focus of the Smart Talk this month will be innovation and transformation, a sustainable project for business growth. And is really important for us to discuss about these specific areas, so innovation and technology, because we strongly believe as a Italian-Cypriot chamber that this is one of the sectors where with more potential in terms of cooperation among Italian and Cypriot operators, but in considering the development also of the relation in the Mediterranean area, because it's important to consider also in this sector Cyprus as an international hub and a bridge to the Middle East and to North Africa. Just a couple of words because before to leave the floor and to start with Federico that will be the moderator of this Smart Talk. A couple of words about Tech Island. Tech Island is a non-profit association of leading Cypriot technology companies that promotes and support the development of the sector on different levels. Georgios Georgiadis is one of the board members, is a founder and board member of Tech Island. He's a strategy advisor, a technology entrepreneur. Is also active in the private equity. He has a relevant experience in the sector, and we believe he's the right person to give us and to give to our audience a general framework about the sector. Really a sector where we strongly believe there is a lot of potential. So let's start with the Smart Talk. Please, Federico, go to the moderation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Georgios, for having accept our invitation, and above all, to show to our audience the opportunities that Cyprus is offering in a very advanced sector like innovation and technology. So first of all, we kindly ask you to give a general overview of Cyprus framework regarding digital transformation, and also some information about the digital ecosystem in Cyprus.
Thank you, Federico, for the question. Thank you, Giuseppe, for the great introduction. It's a real pleasure being here, and thank you for giving us the stage to discuss about innovative things about like Cyprus, to give you an overview about the framework, and also at the end of the day, see how we can collaborate and work shoulder to shoulder and collaborate closely together. Because at the end of the day, innovation is something that you can only achieve when you closely collaborate with a lot of people. So for me, this is a prerequisite, and this is what I would like to start with, because innovation, sustainable growth, first of all, it's like a mindset and how you want to co-create or even compete or do a competition with other people. So at the end of the day, for me, this is the basis of every single discussion and every single thing that we will want to discuss afterwards. So Federico, regarding your question and the framework regarding the digital transformation and the entire ecosystem. In general, the government of Cyprus has positioned really high in its agenda the digital transformation of Cyprus, and wants to set the foundation of attracting foreign tech businesses in the country. Attracting tech businesses is, of course, not something that ends in itself. You attract foreign businesses in order to enhance also the competitiveness of the local businesses. So attracting good and talented people from abroad at the same time will elevate the level of the local market. So in our opinion, this is something that has to be done step by step in a good and again a sustainable way. It's not attracting companies like from outside, from abroad, is not something that ends in itself. And the strategy, the method that the Cypriot government used was showed through the establishment of the Deputy Ministry of Research, Innovation and Digital Policy. So it was a ministry that focused really much on these topics and took in hand practically the digital transformation and tried to accelerate everything. It was to some extent a big success, not an easy thing, definitely. This is like a rocky road. You know it like from all the different European countries. We are still a bit bureaucrats, but at the end of the day, we try to become more digital and accelerate everything. And at the same time, there was established, a chief scientist was established that together with the Deputy Ministry of Research and Innovation and Digital Policy, they were leading the digital transformation and promoting research and innovation between like enterprises and academia. Because this collaboration is also something that is super important. Cyprus as a country cannot compete on mass, cannot compete on scale. It's mainly about developing competencies. And for this reason, back in October last year, we saw that the government announced a number of different incentives in order to attract tech companies and professionals, because technology is becoming an important pillar of the economy. Such the incentives are, for example, the 50% tax discount of tech professionals that are earning more than 55,000 euro annually, and also a new naturalization framework that allows tech professionals to apply for a passport after 4 years living in Cyprus and permanent residency in Cyprus, accessing to the labor market of the spouses of third country nationals. So this will give also the opportunity to non-Europeans, to talented non-Europeans to come to Cyprus and step by step also become part of the society. Because it's not only about attracting people that will leave after 1 or 2 years. We want to have this kind of sustainable growth. So that's why we're focusing on that. And last but not least, of course, a digital nomad visa was introduced according to best practices that we have seen also in other European countries. And all that we are discussing now, of course, are aiming to promote Cyprus as a world-class, as a top destination for tech companies and professionals. And we really, really hope that in this way, Cyprus can become step by step a tech island of the Mediterranean.
Thank you, Georgios. I have to say that we can stop here the smart talk, because it's really fascinating what Cyprus, very small country, is doing in a very, very advanced sector like technology is showing and has already shown. But going to the deeper, and let me move to the tech islands. What is its rule and its main goals that tech islands is following?
Yeah, thank you for the great question, Federico. Like as Giuseppe said, like Tech Island was established almost 1.5 years ago. The motivation behind this is that we were networking, we were sitting together with a lot of people from the tech industry. We were having discussions and we said that at the end of the day, it's good to have a non-governmental and non-profit organization that will be the unified voice of the tech industry in Cyprus. So the first question that we had is, okay, what is like tech industry? What do we understand with tech industry? Is it only about fintech? Is it only about like digital marketing agencies? Is it about consulting? Is it about VCs, venture capital and private equity? It's everything at the end of the day. Of course, each market has every single vertical in a different portion. But at the end of the day, the important thing is to create synergies between the tech companies. And this is really what we wanted to achieve. So that's why we wanted, and we are acting as a unified voice of the tech industry in Cyprus. And the interesting thing in this case is that Tech Island consists of people from different communities. We have people from different like backgrounds, from different countries, inside, outside Europe. And this kind of diversity is something that is also important, because in our opinion, diversity and interdisciplinary is a key to success if we speak about innovation and technology. So The idea is that we wanted to create this unified voice with the main goal to promote the interests of the technology and especially the IT industry in Cyprus. Promote the interests, once again, in a positive way. It's not only, to be honest, and speak openly, it's not only about lobbying. We're not speaking about lobbying. We are speaking about bringing the right people together and creating something bigger for the country. And as discussed before, if you want to attract talented people, you have to give them actually options. You have to give them opportunities. At the end of the day, if they leave one company, they have to go to another. If you want to make them stay longer in Cyprus and make them become part of the society and integrated in the society. So this was actually the idea, to sit down together and try to co-create something bigger, not only for the IT companies, but also for the country itself. Based on this, we said that what we really want to achieve is to improve also the reputation of Cyprus. Everything happened also, the timing was interesting because everything happened after the situation and everything that was discussed about the passports, etc. So for us, it was super important to say that Cyprus is not only about things that are illegal, gray, or I don't know what. It's also about like giving the stage to really, really successful companies, competent companies, to take the next step, to support them at taking the next step. So we wanted really to improve the reputation of Cyprus globally and show that Cyprus can be a really great destination for tech companies and startups.
Thank you. This is a very, very important achievement that Cyprus is going to catch it up. But also your answers leads to the necessity to explain to our audience the sectors in which Tech Island is more involved.
Mm. Yes, Federico.
So in this sense, yeah, no, please.
Yeah, regarding the sectors, Tech Island, as the word says, is like technology island, right? So technology is in principle, per definition, actually like a horizontal pillar of the economy and integrates in all the different vertical sectors. For example, if you have agriculture and you somehow try to inject a bit of technology in this, agriculture is becoming agrotech. If you have financial services and you do it in a digital way, it becomes fintech. So this is actually even in the energy, like if you have photovoltaics and try to do new sensors, becomes innovation and technology in the area of clean energy. So at the end of the day, we understand technology as a horizontal pillar of the economy, and Tech Island is not only involved in one specific sector, but I can tell you like simple statistics. We have currently almost 200 companies that are members and active members, to be more accurate, of Tech Island. And we notice there is of course like a large percentage in the verticals that I will currently say to you, but every single different sector is somehow represented. Shipping, for example, it's super important. Financial services, every single sector is like represented. However, we see like a larger percentage in fintech and gaming companies. And I think that like the environment in Cyprus, the incentives, etc., are really, really attractive for such kind of companies. And now we are trying also to take the next step in order to make practically like create the boundary conditions we need in order to attract other good companies. Because, for example, in the area of agriculture and agrotech, this is something super important. This cannot be the main pillar of the country because of its geography, but at the same time, this can be a very, very interesting and promising sector. And that's the interesting thing, honestly, in my opinion, with innovation. You can, rather than focusing like on seeing only the big picture, you can focus on specific niche markets and try to become more innovative by using technology. And this is also the idea of Tech Island. Yes, we have specific sectors that we are stronger, for example, fintech, but technology is horizontal. This has to be the quintessence, in my opinion.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. We had months ago, for example, another smart talk with one of the most important agriculture company in Italy, and they showed us the importance of combination of the traditional agriculture with tech and technology innovation. In this sense, how have innovation and digitalization impacted such sectors already? You have mentioned this fintech, shipping, but are there specific plans for investment on this?
Yes, Federico. Actually, I would take a step back and try to say some few words about Cyprus itself. Of course, like financial services and professional services, these two sectors are considered as the most dominant sectors of the Cypriot economy, right? So first of all, like we spoke, like if you inject a bit technology into financial services, it becomes fintech. So fintech companies, for example, have a great opportunity to develop. Why? Because there is a lot of room for collaboration and strategic partnerships with well-renowned financial firms. There are many financial firms in Cyprus. So new, innovative fintech startups, for example, can collaborate with these companies, offer them their services, find also strategic partners and potentially also strategic investors. So in this way, yes, we have specific sectors where we directly see the impact of innovation and digitalization. Financial services are an example, legal services. This is also something that, in our opinion, it's a really, really promising sector, because legal tech practically is a niche that is currently step by step being developed. And we think that due to the fact that Cyprus has a lot of really, really good lawyers and high level like professional services in this area, by becoming more innovative, more technologically oriented in this area, you can automate plenty of processes and focus on what matters most, and perhaps even improve your own services. So this is like a real potential, because in this case, you do not necessarily disrupt the industry. You take advantage of what is already existing in Cyprus, making the most out of it. And this has to be, in my opinion, the mindset behind that. It's nice and it's like cool, perhaps, always to speak about disruptive innovation, etc., but it's not only about disruption. You shouldn't aim for disruption. You should aim from creating value. If it leads to a disruption, it's fine. But this is like the idea behind that. And with this kind of idea, we want to make Cyprus more innovative, more technologically oriented. And due to the fact that you spoke about investments, and I'm also coming from the venture capital private equity investment sector, a recent development that was, at least in my eyes, a great opportunity, and was also a great success of the Cypriot government, is the fact that there has been established a collaboration with the European Investment Fund, which is like part of the European Investment Bank, in order to create a venture capital fund backed by the EIF and the Cypriot government. And everything will be monitored, everything will be, this program is called Cyprus Equity Fund, and everything will be structured, monitored, and supported directly from the EIF. This is a big opportunity in Cyprus. This has happened, for example, in Greece some years ago, and totally transformed the ecosystem. And now, in our opinion, in my eyes also, Cyprus is in front of a big opportunity and has to take full advantage of this opportunity to develop further the ecosystem. The tech companies are there, and now this is also an important step for the tech startups. Combining the tech startups that are a bit more like outside the box thinkers with bigger firms, this is, for me, you have like the most important ingredients in order to succeed in the future.
Yes, thank you very much. The combination of different aspects, of course, is the key. So to make and to extract the added value that combination of several factors can reach. I will jump to well, we are talking about combination of different factors, and we know that the small medium enterprise sector is a driving force for the nation island's economy. In this sense, how Tech Island is supporting the growth, but also the transition and the sustainable development of these companies?
First of all, Federico, we try to do like the so-called cherry picking. we checked out what is happening in different European countries, either at governmental or at like non-profit organization level. For us, it was important not only to see, because we're a non-profit, to see what other non-profits are doing. For us, it was important to look, in this case, outside the box and check everything like as widely as possible. So the idea is like what we can do on a super practical level, rather than like talking, really doing, in order to support the growth of the ecosystem. Because the SME sector, to be honest, like is the most important part of the company ecosystem in Cyprus. The majority of the companies are at SME level. So by supporting SMEs, practically you are supporting the entire ecosystem. So we see it as our main goal, we see it as our aim, and it's part of our role to support these kind of companies. It's not only about attracting companies from abroad, but it's also about supporting the local market. So in order to do this, the first thing that we're currently doing is that we're preparing a startup and SME practically ecosystem mapping that is actually like the first initiative towards monitoring the entire startup ecosystem, organizing this in different sectors, etc. And through this study, we want to monitor the ecosystem and also propose ways to develop further. So this is the first initiative. And also the second initiative, and super like practical thing that we're focusing on, is that through networking of the organizations, we want to promote the collaboration between our members through, first of all, we're doing targeted networking events. We had also together like great events in Italy and stuff like that. And you see how much you can achieve when you meet people in person, when you speak about your problems, when you exchange knowledge and point of views. So at the end of the day, this is something that works, and we want to push it forward even more. We want to create missions abroad. It's important to be ready to speak with people. It's important to be open and communicate your own like ideas, but also problems, and face your problems and try to see what another country did, like the collaboration, for example, with Estonia, and the fact that the Deputy Minister of Research and Innovation recently went to Estonia to try to get the most out of what this country did. And for example, Estonia is a great like role model for Cyprus because of its size and because of like the sectors that we are focusing. So organizing missions abroad, not only on the governmental level, but also as a unified voice, as we discussed before, the technology sector, is something that we are currently planning. And last but not least, we are creating like different working groups for private equity, VC, but also startups. And we want also to proactively support and fund the different startups. Because on the one hand, it's about funding and giving them access to funds. But at the same time, it's also about adding value to such kind of companies. In my opinion, like if you speak about startups, it's not only about money, it's more about smart money. It's about like at an early stage, having the right people on board that will take you to the next level. And I think that this is something that is also super interesting in our context. I see in this specific area a lot of collaborations between Cyprus and Italy in the next few years, actually.
Thank you. This is a very smart consideration that you have made, and I cannot avoid to make a reference to the American experience about the strong link between Wall Street and startups. So a lot of funds should be allocated before you have a valuable company. So this is a logic that I think we have to introduce in Europe, where we are more linked and we more rely on all the, not capitalism, but all the way of allocation of finance. Okay, so moving to another consideration, because of course we have to take in consideration how the innovation impacts on socio-economic aspects. In this sense, from your point of view, how the innovation can lead to prosperity and also enhance the competitiveness of Cyprus. And let me extend, you have mentioned in Estonia, the memorandum that Cyprus has signed with Estonia. And I'm not only referring to the continent of Cyprus, but the Mediterranean area as a whole.
Federico, I think that in principle, technology is democratizing always access and giving access, and democratizing and giving access like to better quality of life to people. Like some years ago, we couldn't imagine that each single one of us would have access to the internet. And at the same time, now if we see like Netflix or hear Spotify or I don't know what, at the end of the day, you get offered the same services that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are having, right? So this is about democratization, and innovation and technology is in principle, per definition, key to socioeconomic prosperity. So if we become more innovative, at the end of the day, by democratizing all the services and everything, you are improving also the quality of life of the people. Of course, this is a bit like, yeah, too blah blah and sentimental, but at the end of the day, you have to be practical and see how you can improve the people's lives, So let's be honest, like Cyprus is a small market, right? Therefore, Cyprus should not compete on mass, should not compete on scale, rather than focus like on different niche sectors, develop innovative products and services, and then scale outside the country. And this is also an area where I see a lot of synergies and collaboration opportunities with Italy. Italy can be like, Cyprus can be the sandbox for new technologies. And this is something that will also enhance the competitiveness of the country. And at the same time, if you want to scale and take the next step, Italy, in my eyes, is like the natural continuation of when you want to scale something. So it's important to scale outside the country, but at the same time, try to take advantage of the strategic position of Cyprus, like being in the middle of 3 different continents. So that's why I think that the word and the idea of sandbox for new technologies is something that fits practically to what the market has as potential and can offer. And at the same time, this is something that is a sector, or that is it's an approach that can be unique for Cyprus. And by being unique, you also enhance the competitiveness of the country. So in this way, if Cyprus acts in this way, we'll be able to attract foreign companies that want to do pilot projects, that want to start something and be quick, because speed matters. It's super important. And you can utilize the market as a sandbox for the next and future technologies. And at the same time, this will force the local leaders that are dominating the market to improve. Because this is why it's important for me to attract talent from abroad. Attracting talent from abroad, as we discussed before, enhances also the quality of the local people. So this has to be seen as something that has had really, really high interdependencies. In other words, like innovation, in our eyes, will spark practically a chain reaction and also can lead to sustainable growth, because this is the key to sustainability. It's not only about offering simple services.
Absolutely agree. In this sense, Tech Island's goal is also related to the developing the Cyprus infrastructure. For example, if I well remember, the building technology parks, also smart cities. A part of these, and again, backing to the finance, do you see opportunity for foreign direct investment and international cooperation to reach this goal?
Foreign direct investment is honestly essential, in my opinion. And that's why Cyprus and the government are focusing on attracting not only capital from abroad, but the right people, the right companies that can support the ecosystem from abroad. So one of the key principles of the establishment of Tech Island was and is to promote international cooperation and increase foreign direct investment. So at the moment we're speaking, around 7.5% of the country's GDP is related to the ICT companies. And we strongly believe that this percentage over the next year can reach even 20%. This is an indication where practically the trip goes to. What are the next developments that we're going to see? Of course, one of the major elements to increase foreign direct investments is the investment in infrastructure, as you said before, like high-speed internet, co-working spaces, thematic places and parks, real estate developments, a tech park, STEM universities, etc. So infrastructure development is super important. This is something that we have in our agenda and we want to promote. And there are a lot of locations with really, really high potential in Cyprus. I think Cyprus has a great combination of like living quality and then good working environment. We have like now really great 5G coverage, for example. This allows you to work from a beach. So there are things that, especially like from digital nomads, etc., are super attractive. And now we have to take the next step, create or even improve the infrastructure even more. So this is the reality. So as far as we are concerned, as members of Tech Island, there is already like appetite for foreign direct investments regarding a STEM university, regarding a technology park, and other infrastructure elements that will act practically as a key tool for attracting further tech companies to the country.
This is, of course, absolutely a clear framework. You have mentioned some assets that are able to attract the innovation and to create the innovation environment. But are there any other assets for the enhancement of the innovation in Cyprus in order to attract people and to create this ecosystem?
Mm-hmm. There are three super important things that are coming to my mind. First and foremost, the most important thing, human capital. So Cyprus ranks second in the European Union in tertiary education. So people are having university degrees, being educated, going to the university, also taking the next level through like going to a PhD or something like that. This is something that is important in Cyprus and is also attractive for the people. This means that we have highly educated people and we have also super talented people as Cypriot diaspora that are either in UK, in US, in the USA, etc. That if you give them the right working conditions, the right quality of life, the right boundary conditions and framework, as we're discussing, they're ready to come back to country. So also the effect of like human capital in Cyprus plus the Cypriot diaspora is, in my opinion, a great combination, and is also key to success. The second thing is what we discussed before, the geostrategical position of Cyprus in the middle practically of three continents. As Giuseppe mentioned before, like Cyprus can be seen and is seen as Europe's bridge to Middle East and North Africa. So this is important, and that's why, again, this sandbox idea is interesting. Even the geopolitical situation now you can empower practically Cyprus and play even more this role of Europe's bridge to different continents. And last but not least, we have also high level of academic research. Cyprus and Cypriot universities and institutes are participating in a lot of European programs with really great results. And at the same time, of course, we have also high level professional services.
Thank you. These are, of course, three other fundamental assets that will play relevant role. But we have to not forget, we discussed it before and at the beginning of this chat, also about the fundamental rule of politics. And I want to conclude with some questions on how, from politics, for example, in this sector, could be in such a way a facilitator in order to enhance the innovation and development. First of all, for this last part of our chat, we have talked about the memorandum of understanding that Cyprus has signed with another European member state. Do you think that there is other possibility to sign, to reach such an agreement with other EU member state or in this area, and even, for example, in connection with other non-EU countries, as you mentioned before, the position as a bridge of Cyprus?
Creating strategic partnerships by signing MOUs within the European Union, but also outside, is essential, is super important. Cyprus is a small country, but at the same time, I think that has great opportunities and great potential because of what we discussed before, the different things, the human capital, etc. To take advantage of this, you need somehow to import, exchange know-how and knowledge, but also like import experience, if I'm allowed to say so, like exchange best practices with other countries. So MOU is, in my opinion, the first step for something like that. And it's great to sign also MOUs focusing on specific verticals. For example, you can sign an MOU as we did with Estonia, focusing on digital transformation. You can sign another MOU with Italy, for example, regarding like next steps in the area of clean energy and green energy transition, for example. So creating such kind of strategic collaborations and try to spot, let's say, the winners within the EU and try to collaborate with them in order to improve your own infrastructure. This is a super clever tactic and policy. So I think that the government is on the right way. They're acting in this way. They're doing a lot. And it's important now to take the next step and try to translate these MOUs in very, very specific actions. So it's not easy to start acting and doing a lot of stuff, but I think we have all what it takes. The prerequisites are there. So now it's important to take the next step.
And about next step, we had Cyprus, like in Italy, due to the pandemic, the National Recovery and Resilience Plan that in every country in European Union have put the attention, focused the attention on the importance of innovation and transformation for a sustainable growth. So digitalization linked with the energy transition. Do you see collaboration opportunities between Italy and Cyprus within the Mediterranean region that they are able to combine these different aspects?
Yeah, I mean, Federico, the Recovery and Resilience Funds and Plans, the RRF, then on the national level, are a great platform, like a great opportunity, because they are aiming practically to ensure like sustainable and inclusive recovery and promote two important things like green transition and digital transition. So in this case, in this way, countries are now having the necessary funds to start like acting. Such kind of European funding was also the basis for the Cyprus Equity Fund that we discussed before. So now the countries are facing a big opportunity because COVID and the entire situation that came along with COVID showed the weaknesses of the system. And now we're ready to fight these weaknesses. We are ready to improve the situation. You cannot improve something on your own. You should collaborate with other countries to do so. So trying to find mutual funding in specific sectors is important. For example, to be practical, one country can focus on something very, very specific that can afterwards transfer as technology and know-how to another country. And in this way, we should take advantage of the entire European ecosystem and the synergies that can be done. So at the end of the day, it's like about know-how and best practice exchange between not only different countries, but also the public and the private sector of our countries. This is important because we are speaking all the time we're speaking about ecosystem, right? What is ecosystem? It's not only at our universities, it's the public sector, it's the private sector, or the companies, the startups, etc., right? So we have to have in our mind to keep this ecosystematic thinking.
Yes, indeed. I completely agree. Indeed, as a Chamber of Commerce, we already last year we planned to make such collaboration, not only in a vertical area, but aiming to combine in order to have a mix of factors able to create an ecosystem. Even we are talking about digitalization, sustainable energy, and even in the case of infrastructure, transport, healthcare, and so on. Before to leave for the conclusion, before to leave the stage for the conclusion to our Vice President and very, very excellent friend, Kostas Katsaros, I would like to point out the last question about the Italian-Cypriot Chamber of Commerce and Tech Islands. In which way they can collaborate in order to involve some important Italian groups in activities in Cyprus and create what we have, in other words, called the awareness regarding the innovation and its role for a sustainable growth and process for business growth and development at the end.
Yes, I think to be practical, the low-hanging fruit, the quick win, is to organize mutual events, both in Italy and Cyprus. It's important to show that we're collaborating. It's important to show that there are already like synergies, and there are even more synergies to be explored. So to show practically, publicly to the people the potential and how important it's to collaborate together through events is, in my opinion, the most straightforward way to start collaborating, to kick off practically something. And this is something that has to be specified, and this is something that we can do in the next few months. It doesn't have to take long. It's important about acting. This is the first thing. The second thing is that Tech Island as organization can serve technology or in general innovative companies from Italy that are willing to explore opportunities either to expand their operations and activities in Cyprus, or even to relocate part of the company or member companies to Cyprus. And at the same time, we can also check what technology companies in Cyprus might be interested in exploring Italy even more, to expand to Italy or even relocate part of the companies to Italy. So it's not only about competition in this case. If a company, if somebody wants to live and check like opportunities outside of the country, they will do it in one or the other way. That's why for me, the concept of co-opetition and collaboration, more like collaborative competition, is important in this case. Show what each country has to offer, and at the same time work together so that the company is active in both like countries. This is something that we can do together. And last but not least, something also simple and practical is like to use the newsletter tool of the two organizations and provide information about like funding and other opportunities, and also show what we would like to kickstart and do together.
Hey, thank you very much once again, Georgios, for your time and for a very clear picture that you have painted about Tech Island and about the efforts that Cyprus is doing in order to catch up opportunities, not only for Cyprus, but for the whole Mediterranean European Union in the field of digital transformation and economic development. I leave, once again, I thank you very much, and I leave for the conclusion to Kostas. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Federico. I think it was one of the most interesting smart talks that the Chamber has organized. At least in my personal opinion, we got a lot of very useful information with regards to the Cypriot IT ecosystem that is being transformed during the last years. George analyzed with a very descriptive way how the Cypriot government and the Cypriot Parliament have embraced many changes with regards to incentives related to the effort to attract IT companies and IT minds, I would say, in Cyprus, if I may, not only for a temporary establishment in Cyprus, but also, and most importantly, with a vision and the purpose of incorporating them in the Cypriot society and in the Cypriot infrastructure. So the one pillar, if I may say, is that there is a continuous transformation of the Cypriot tax, legal, and overall infrastructure, aiming in attracting IT companies and IT persons and transform Cyprus into an IT hub, focusing on innovative projects and proposals for companies. Georgios also mentioned very specifically the opportunity that arises through the Cyprus Equity Fund, where George, if I'm aware, I think this is an opportunity of this period. I think that proposals are up and running until mid-July or 22nd of July, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere there. So this is a very important period for proposals to get some type of funding with a system similar to what, as George mentioned, took place in Greece a few years ago. So this is a very solid and actual opportunity for businesses that want to take advantage of funding in the sector. Federico made a lot of questions which George analyzed very clearly. I would not take much of the time, because I think that within the last 45 minutes we had the chance to have a very thorough overview of the developments on the sector. I would just reiterate only on what George said, that and Federico, that the Chamber is focusing on enhancing the dialogue and the opportunities for synergies in this sector, which, as George mentioned, may be projected on a contribution of the overall GDP of the country of even up to 20% during the coming years. So we all understand what type of opportunity lies ahead for tech-driven companies, and what the cultural, if I may say, change could take place in the whole process of doing business in Cyprus through innovation and transformation with the use of technology. The role of Tech Island, lastly, represented also by George, is very important, as various institutions and personalities have united their forces in a non-profit organization for promoting technology and innovation in Cyprus. I think we have a very interesting era in front of us, and on behalf of the Chamber, I would like to thank Georgios for his thorough replies and explanations, and to let's say hope that very soon we will have the chance to discuss in person, and maybe organize with the active presence and initiatives of the Chamber a more how can I say it, maybe even a conference, Giuseppe, on these topics, since they are attracting a lot the interest of investors here in Cyprus and abroad.
Of
Thank you so
course.
much, George.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.